Normandy, June 1944, 2 weeks after D-Day. American infantry advances through a hedgerow, clearing a German defensive position. A soldier steps on something metallic, buried in the dirt. He hears a soft click. For 1 second, nothing happens. Then the device launches into the air. It rises to approximately chest height, about 1 meter, before detonating with a sound like thunder. The soldier who triggered it dies instantly. But so do the 6 men surrounding him. The mine didn't explode where they could fall prone or dive for cover. It exploded at the optimal height to tear through human torsos. The survivors call for medics, 7 men down. Multiple traumatic amputations, massive tissue damage. Several will die within the hour. They search for the mine's remains. Find a simple spring mechanism, steel ball bearings embedded in soldiers' bodies. The entire device cost maybe $2 to manufacture. The weapon was the German S-mine, the shrapnel mine, spring mine, or splitter mine. Allied soldiers called it the Bouncing Betty, because it bounced, and because it killed you. The S-mine represented German engineering at its most brutally efficient. A simple mechanism, cheap to manufacture, devastating in effect, and psychologically terrifying. Between 1935 and 1945, S-mines killed or wounded tens of thousands of Allied soldiers. Even after the war ended, they continued killing. Unexploded mines remained buried across Europe for decades. The UI taught Germany that static defense required effective anti-personnel weapons. Traditional mines had limitations. Blast mines killed only persons stepping on them. Fragmentation mines, effective radius small. Directional mines required precise positioning German military wanted. Anti-personnel mine, effective against groups. Lethal radius larger than traditional mines. Psychological terror effect. Cheap mass production. The solution, a mine that jumped before exploding. Development began 1929, mass production 1935. S-mine specifications, S-mi-35 and S-mi-44. Physical. Height, 13 cm, 5.1 inches. Diameter, 10 cm, 3.9 inches. Weight, 4 kg, 8.8 pounds. Case, sheet steel. Contents, 365 grams TNT, 350 steel balls or metal fragments. Mechanism. The S-mine's genius was its 2-stage detonation. Stage 1, trigger. Pressure plate on top, 5 to 7 kilos pressure triggers, or tripwire igniter, SMIZ-35, for wire-activated version. Trigger ignites small propellant charge, black powder. Stage 2, launch. Propellant explosion drives mine upward on spring. Steel cable, 1 meter long, unreels as mine rises. Mine reaches 1 meter height in 0.5 seconds. Stage 3, detonation. Fuse ignites main charge, 365 G TNT. Explosion projects 350 steel balls in all directions. Steel balls fragments travel at 1-200 malures. Effective radius, 20 meters. Lethal radius, 10-15 meters. Improvements over time. S-mi-35, 1935-1940. Original design, sheet metal case, reliable but expensive. S-mi-44, 1944-1945. Wartime simplifications. Concrete case, steel scarce. Glass or ceramic balls, metal scarce. Cheaper, still effective. Deployment methods. Pattern laying. Placed every 5 to 10 meters in defensive lines, often mixed with anti-tank mines. Tripwires connected multiple S-mines. Trap integration. Placed near obstacles soldiers would use for cover. Behind hedgerows, around destroyed vehicles, entry points to buildings. Advanced tactics. Some fitted with anti-handling devices. Dummy S-mines, visible with hidden real mines nearby. Psychological warfare, signs warning of mines even where none existed. Subscribe to discover more brutal innovations of W2 engineering. North Africa, 1941-1943. German defensive positions protected by S-mines. British and Commonwealth forces suffered heavy casualties. Desert terrain made concealment difficult, but S-mines still effective. Mine clearing before attacks became mandatory. Eastern Front, 1941 and 1945. Massive deployment in defensive lines. Soviet forces developed mine-clearing tactics, costly in lives, used extensively during German retreats, left behind in abandoned positions. Italy, 1943 to 1945. Gustav Line, Gothic Line heavily mined. S-mines in mountainous terrain particularly effective. Allied advance slowed significantly. Monte Cassino approaches littered with S-mines. Normandy, June 1944. Beach obstacles didn't include many S-mines, underwater deployment impractical. But hedgerow country, Bocage, was heavily mined. American forces suffered significant S-mine casualties. Engineers developed flail tanks and other clearing methods. Western Europe, 1944-1945. German retreat tactics included massive mine deployment. S-mines slowed Allied advance. Civilian casualties post-war from unexploded mines. Documented effects. Physical. Typical casualties per S-mine detonation: 3 to 6 soldiers, wounded, killed. Wounds, primarily lower torso, arms, face. Fragmentation caused massive tissue damage. Many casualties resulted in amputations. Psychological. Fear of S-mines slowed Allied advances. Soldiers terrified of bouncing Betty. Affected unit morale significantly. Veterans reported long-term trauma from mine awareness. Allied countermeasures: detection, mine detectors, metal detectors, probing with bayonets, trained dogs, visual inspection for tripwires, clearing, Bangalore torpedoes, explosive clearing, flail tanks, Sherman Crab, manual removal, extremely dangerous, explosive line charges, protection, none effective. The mine exploded above ground level. Body armor couldn't stop fragments. Spacing out troops reduced casualties per mine. Don't bunch up became critical tactical doctrine. American M16 mine, 1950s. Directly copied S-mine design. Plastic case, avoiding metal detectors. Same bouncing mechanism. Used in Vietnam extensively. Still in service today. Soviet OZM series, also copied, German S-mine. OZM-3, OZM-4 variants. Similar mechanism, larger fragments, used extensively. Why bouncing design persisted? Advantages: larger kill radius than ground-level mines. More fragments hit target, chest versus feet. Psychological terror factor, difficult to defend against. Disadvantages: more complex mechanism, higher cost, visibility, slight bump in ground, can be triggered deliberately from distance. Despite disadvantages, the bouncing mine concept proved so effective that it became standard globally. Post-war, millions left unexploded across Europe. Decades of demining operations, thousands of post-war casualties, soldiers and civilians. Some remain undiscovered to this day. Mine warfare evolution. S-mine established bouncing mines as standard. Modern versions include better fuses, plastic construction, avoid detectors, longer effective life, more lethal fragmentation. Modern conflicts, used in Vietnam, Cambodia, Afghanistan, Africa, Middle East, often manufactured locally as copies. International Mine Ban Treaties, 1997 Ottawa Treaty. But many nations still stockpile legal, ethical, anti-personnel mines. Controversial. Indiscriminate killing. Long-term civilian casualties. Demining extremely dangerous and expensive. Cultural impact. Bouncing Betty entered military lexicon. Symbol of hidden danger. Referenced in war movies, games. Metaphor for unexpected threats. Museum displays. Deactivated S-mines in military museums worldwide. Cutaway displays showing mechanism. Educational exhibits on mine warfare. Normandy, June 1944. A soldier steps on something, hears a click, 1 second, then the mine launches into the air, 1 meter high, then detonation, 7 men down, multiple dead. Massive injuries. The weapon was simple. Sheet metal, 365 grams of TNT, 350 steel balls, a spring, but it exploded at chest height, where armor couldn't protect, where vital organs were exposed, where death was almost certain. The S-mine. Bouncing Betty. Silent death on springs. 10-15 meter lethal radius, 0.5 seconds to launch, zero warning. That was German engineering. That was the weapon that made Allied soldiers fear every step. And that was how a $2 mine killed tens of thousands and terrorized millions.